speak to a lot of traders on a regular basis, but very few traders have this rich and diverse experience as Mr. Vivek Bajaj. In this episode of Breakfast with Traders, not only did we talk about his trading journey, which a lot of people don't know about. He started trading in commodities and currencies with huge volume, and now he trades equity momentum. But we also spoke about what it took him to build two trading desks, iRage and Credent. We spoke about how the traders at these trading desks get mentored and groomed. We talked about what it takes to be a trader at these trading desks. And we also spoke in depth about the ongoing regulations, which is going to change the landscape of influencing in the country. So watch the entire podcast, because for me personally, this is a very enriching conversation. So don't miss out and enjoy. So Vivek bhai, welcome to Breakfast with Traders. So I'm taking time out of your Sunday and thanks for doing this.
No problem.
आपने इतने सारे interviews किए हैं and you have got so many people on the show. So you are probably one of the biggest stock market educators of the country.
Wow.
But आज इस show पे I want to know Vivek as a person.
Yeah.
What drives him, what motivates him, what makes him who he is. So try to be as open as possible. जैसे आप आपके guests को कहते हैं आपके show में, try to be as open as possible.
Yes.
So how long it's been in the market, Vivek bhai?
Well, I was there from 2002 as well, but that was for a very intense period. Where after my CA and my MBA, I thought that I should try trading because my family has a bit of trading background. So that was my brief sting, and I made money then. I still remember that first trade in options of ITC where I made money because someone was trying to sell.
Your first trade was in options.
Yes, my first trade, because that time options was very easy money. 2002, 2003, not many people knew about options, and I remember my trade where I made good money was ITC, and I bought a call option because someone wanted to sell put option, but unfortunately that person sold call option, and I made money. And I was like, it was so easy to make money. I should just continue doing this. But then I realized that this is not really trading. This is, you are betting on the luck or misfortune of someone else. So I thought I should do an MBA. So I went for my MBA. In 2005, I completed my MBA, and then I joined JM Financials as a commodity analyst.
You were a CA?
Yeah.
And then you switched to MBA. Like, didn't you want to practice chartered accountancy?
No, I am one of those CAs who do CA because his friend, the topper friend, is doing CA.
Okay.
I don't know why I was doing CA. Maybe my father is a CA as well. So maybe he wanted me to do a CA. So,
but you were not inclined innately.
I was never a CA material. Yeah. So good or bad, I don't know. But whatever I've done, I
turned out to be really well.
Yes. So after my CA, I joined JM Financial as a mutual fund distributor, a salesperson. Because in CA, the problem is that we don't get exposed to the world of selling something. It's very inward qualification. So I thought I need to break that. And that's why I joined Mumbai JM as a sales executive. I worked there for a couple of months before I came back to Calcutta. So trading technically, full-time started from January 2006.
2006.
Yeah. That's why I want to become a trader. I want to build one of the largest trading desks in India. And
when you started out to trade, at that point itself, you had the vision of building a trading desk?
Yeah. I was always convinced. I used to tell my brothers that, we used to have a membership of NSE, but it was a very small business we were doing.
Ghar family.
Yeah, my family business. Fortunately, I come from a family who have understood stock market for many years. So when I got into trading, so there was already an NSE membership, and there was very small work we were doing. So when I was doing my MBA, I knew that trading is a very big occupation. It has to be done the right way, right? It has to be institutionalized. And commodities was a very new product. So I thought big opportunity lies in a product where no one is there. Right? So MCX was launched, I think, in 2003, 2004, NCDX was launched during that time. So there was a fair bit of opportunity for anyone to get into that market. So 2006, I decided that let my brothers be there in equity. We'll keep on working on that as well. And let me start the commodities and the currency piece.
Now, throughout all this initial hustle that you did, how much of the guidance from your parents was quite handy for you?
But more than my parents, obviously, parents, my father and mother, both are very important part of my life, everyone's life. But I think more than my parents, my brothers allowed me to do what I wanted to do.
You gave that free hand.
Yeah, that we believe you, we trust you, you are a qualified person. So just try, keep on trying new things. So first 6 months was always tough because you, as a qualified person, you are carrying a baggage of society where people are
True.
asking,
True.
what are you doing here? So much qualification. Why aren't you there in Bombay? Become a fund manager there.
How long were you misunderstood? Because when you have that baggage of societal expectations coming from the background of I am Indore and being a CA and being from a well-to-do family,
Yeah.
now you have ventured out into separate part,
Yeah.
and the big part of that is being able to be misunderstood for extended periods of time.
Yeah.
So how long were you misunderstood? Till people started believing, हाँ ये कुछ हो सकता है आगे जाके.
Not very long. Not very long. I was a very hard working guy. From morning 9 o'clock to midnight 12, I used to work very hard. And when you're working hard, people around you see that, yeah, he's doing it. It's okay.
Kuch
We
to hai.
should not bother him. Generally, people question when they see that you're doing free riding, you're not in office in the afternoon, you're coming office by 10:30, you're leaving office early. Then people realize that, oh, he's wasting his time, which is the most important resource. So I didn't have to pay too much of effort to convince my family that I have it inside me.
Not just the family. I mean, a part of the success is attributed to skill, to your hard work, to your work ethic and all that. And a greater part of it is for luck also. I believe that, okay,
Yes.
the universe has to kind of transpire and concoct to give you what you kind of deserve.
Yeah.
Of course, universe, yesterday I was talking to someone, मैं बोल रहा था कि ये कायनात आपको कुछ एक्स्ट्रा नहीं देता, ना किस्मत से पहले ना किस्मत से ज्यादा. So how much of it is being at the right place at the right time?
See, on the hindsight, we can always say that I had a vision, I wanted to do this, और ये मेरा हो गया because ये post करना बहुत easy है. Yeah, definitely luck plays a very important role.
Because
so, I've not been able to define luck yet, but I think doing the right thing at the right time,
stacking good decisions on
proactive,
good decisions.
Yeah. But I'll tell you, when we launched our algo trading firm, iRage, in 2009, when I was conceptualizing, so NSE came out with a circular that co-location is allowed. And I instantly realized that circular. By the way, I read NSE SEBI circulars till today. I've been a regular visitor of that website. Because as an entrepreneur, if you have to grow and if you don't know what kind of communication the regulators are giving to you, then you are missing important point. So 2009, where NSE came out with a circular on co-location, I realized that algo is the next big thing. And I'm an accountant. I don't know algo, right? So how do I build up a team? Recruiting people, managing them, having them sit with you for long term is a very tough decision. Absolutely. So I thought instantly I need to have partners. Now I connected with few people on LinkedIn that is there anyone who's interested in doing algo trading in India or who has a passion of algo trading. So I got connected with few people, then we got connected somehow. And there was a need of me flying to meet that team. That one day there was a need. If suppose I would have not done that, today iRage would not have been possible. Only that meeting, that flight, the decision to become proactive and go and meet people, that was the turning point. So whoever is proactive in life takes a more active steps in taking important growth decisions, they always will face good luck for themselves.
एक चीज मैंने आपके जो बातों में मैंने नोटिस किया है, यू हैव ऑलवेज बीन एन अर्ली अडॉप्टर ऑफ ट्रेंड. जैसे MCX आया, आपने देखा यहाँ पे पैसे बन सकता है, मैं यहाँ पे छलांग मारना है मुझे. जैसे एल्गो रेगुलेशंस आए, आपने यू आर द फर्स्ट वन टू अडॉप्ट दैट. तो ये जो अर्ली ट्रेंड अडॉप्शन का जो क्वालिटी आई, इज इट बिकॉज ऑफ योर पेरेंट्स बीइंग ट्रेडर्स? ट्रेंड फॉलोइंग का जो ये आता है, लाइक यू विल बी द अर्ली अडॉप्टर ऑफ एवरी ट्रेंड?
I'm not sure. I think it's probably somewhere in the genes that as family, we are always figuring out what is the next thing happening in the world, right? So maybe we read a lot, we figure out, because we are updated with the industry trend, so we don't mind taking the bold step of trying new things.
So when you're trying to take up a new venture, what's the motivating factor? Is it you want to be the first one to do that? मतलब summit को मैं पहले चढ़ना चाहिए? Or is it monetary motivation? What drives you, like whenever you take a new risk?
See, entrepreneurship is like riding a tiger. We will have to constantly do new things, right?
Now, that is okay, but unless the reward is in line with your values.
हाँ.
For example, किसी को सिर्फ पैसे चाहिए,
हाँ.
तो he'll take a lot of shortcuts. वो अपना values के हिसाब से, उसका principles के हिसाब से चलता नहीं, because he's motivated only by the end goal. But when you start a venture, when you start into something new, so what is it that you're expecting out of it?
Every venture will have an objective attached.
Hmm.
Like I started an offline training center in Calcutta called Credent Academy in 2008. The objective was I wanted to give back to society. I wanted to teach people. Plus, because we were expanding our trading desk, we launched a program, and the good talent from that program used to join our trading desk. That was a backward integration kind of. The objective was never to make money there. So for 6 years, we didn't make any money, but we got strong brand value. We got very good talent who became part of us, right? That business got converted into an online education business called elearnmarkets.com in 2013 end. Why we got into online education? Because we already had an offline education presence or exposure or understanding of how to educate people. The objective was different when it was offline. The moment it became online, the objective became different. That now we want to scale up. Now we want to reach to corner part of India and teach people how it works and obviously make money. Because until as you make money, your business cannot scale.
Correct. So have you maintained positive cash flow throughout all your ventures? Or like was there a period where you were burning cash and you were okay to take that risk?
Not necessarily all the businesses will give you cash. So particularly the one which is very close to my heart is Stockage and Elon Markets combined. So there we were not making money till date because there again the passion was to give back, to do good, to create valuable stuff. And in India, it is taking time for the retail investor to understand the value of a neutral platform. I mean, there's a media platform, there is a broker platform, there is a platform like ours, which is like a Bloomberg platform where people subscribe to get good information, neutral information. So I think Indian investor is now maturing to subscribe to this. So fortunately, we just started making money. Last year we made some money. Hopefully this year also we'll make some money.
Really?
Yeah.
I was of the impression that you were making bonkers amount of money from all those educational ventures.
No, not at all.
Even
No.
if you go to Twitter,
Yeah.
this is the notion that Vivek Bajaj makes most of his money from courses and all that. ये notion है.
Yeah, and now that I'm seeing the numbers of other people, I'm realizing that, oh God, this is so less.
Did you play it the wrong way?
I feel low, but no, I think I played the right way.
But I feel you don't regret it because you went by your ethics and
Yeah. Principally, you cannot sell dreams to people, right? In stock market, if you start selling dreams.
But मुझे ये बताओ विवेक भाई, because this is again it's on a philosophical note. Selling dream is a part of how the world works. जब वो लोग एड चलाते हैं वो बोलते हैं कि तुम ये थोपड़े पे लगा दो आपको इंटरव्यू पे सिलेक्शन हो जाएगा. That is all unrealistic kind of things. Like they call it marketing, they call it advertising, but suddenly when you do it in the stock market, it suddenly becomes dream selling.
Yeah.
What is your fine line?
I will not do anything which is not substance of my product. Will I lose? That's okay. I don't get an opportunity to scale up very fast. That's okay. But my conscience remains healthy. And see, my background is that I have already business, right? I'm making money. I'm not dependent on this to get
You're not
right.
desperate to make money.
I'm not desperate. Maybe someone who is very desperate, the person will lie.
विवेक भाई, let's go back to your trading. Like आपने बता रहे थे कि एक ऑप्शन है, वहां से हम लोग थोड़ा डिटूर होके और आपका बिजनेस पे आ गए. After that, like once you completed your MBA, like your most of the focus was on building your trading desks, you're building your algorithmic desk and all those things. When were you getting time to trade?
No, my first focus was to learn trading, to trade on my own. So January 2006, because I was an analyst in JM before I came back to Calcutta again. So I thought if I'm an analyst and I'm accurate most of the time, I should make a lot of money. So I started trading, and in 6 months I was not making money. I was always right in predicting gold. I was always right in predicting crude, but still I was not at the end of the day, I was not making money. So it took me 6 months to realize that being right is a different thing and making money out of that accuracy is a very different thing. So to run a trading desk, first you need to learn trading. You need to be successful as a trader. Then only you can have people around you who will learn.
And mentor them.
Correct. So fortunately, my brother is phenomenal trader in equity. He has been trading for many years. So he built a lot of traders around him who traded equity. I built a lot of traders around me who traded commodities, currency market. When currency came, we were one of the largest currency players in India. We used to do NSE currencies almost 6-7% of exchange volume, so much of trade. And I used to be personally trader. So first 2-3 years was all about trading on my own and making money. And then I realized that I'm an institution builder. I'm not a trader, that I am comfortable sitting and doing trading. I don't foresee myself that by the age of 50, I'm also trading on my own. That's not me. So I started building an institution around myself. So equity was handled by my brother and commodity currency was handled by me. And then Algo trading came. So I had partners in iRage who started building the Algo trading desk.
आपने कहा था कि आपका first trade options था.
That was 2002, way back when I was trying.
Then why did you start trading commodities and crude and currencies? Why not options?
Because it was a new market, no? Commodities was a new market, currency was a new market.
मतलब liquidity नहीं थी, depth नहीं था इसलिए.
Yeah, I mean, I'm always excited with new things. That's me. So I always find big opportunities in something where no one is there.
But were you trading options at that point of time?
Not really actively.
I mean,
Because
if not you personally, at least any of your members in your
Yeah,
desk,
my desk was there. My brother,
there was an options desk.
yeah, we were building that desk parallelly. So from 2006 onwards, I institutionalized everything in the organization. We created a brand Credit. We went and tried to recruit top talents to manage the operations. So parallelly options trading was happening. My brother used to take care of equity options and equity, and I used to take care of commodities and currency. Then after 2010-11, we started getting involved in everything, even options trading. So I have not been an active option trader myself because I've been involved in other asset classes. But around team, we have traded options. We still trade very large options. Okay.
What do you trade right now? Personally?
Right
आपके
now,
हाथ से.
right now, I'm a momentum investor. My trading is from morning 10 o'clock to 11 o'clock.
That's all.
Yeah, and cash market.
Okay.
Because the scale is bigger now and the time is less.
I don't even want to ask those numbers. I get intimidated.
To what I was doing earlier, now my scale is bigger. Obviously, when you look at other people with much bigger scale, I may be still very small, but yeah, I've done good.
Do you think there is more room for you to grow at this point?
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, with the same infrastructure, with the same manpower, with the same setup.
Yeah. I mean, the marginal effort required to make more money is very less now.
The cost of replication is practically minimum.
We are running a factory where there are freshers coming, we're educating them, and it takes almost 1.5-2 years for a fresher to actually start thinking about making trading as a serious occupation. It is not a 3-month or a 5-month task, right? Just like a graduate degree, it takes 3 years before you become graduate. For a trading in our firm, at least we have realized it takes at least 2 years for you to become kind of a consistent trader. So that flow is already there. Freshers becoming trader, freshers becoming trader.
So Vivek bhai, you have been a provider of lot of educational content for people who want to aspire to become full-time traders. इतने सारे आपके वीडियोस हैं, इंटरव्यूज हैं. Where did you get your learning material from? जब आप शुरू कर रहे थे ट्रेडिंग में, where did you get your knowledge from?
I think knowledge was there everywhere. I mean, if you read books like Jack Schwager's book, it literally gave us that base of how to do trading when we started. But the biggest learner has been market, no? That while you trade, you make mistakes and you learn. So it's a combination of books. That time video was not there. So combination of books and real market practices.
But अभी तो learning curve इतना कम हो चुका है. Like if somebody wants to understand all the theoretical aspects, probably can cover everything in probably 2 months. 2 months if he's really diligent. If he's really diligent. Theoretical part में बोल.
We have to define what theory is. Yeah. I still feel I'm telling, not that I'm using the word learner for myself in Twitter. I genuinely feel that I have so much more to learn.
No, that is absolutely. But when I say learning, first thing is like when you play a game, you need to understand the rules of the game.
Yeah.
हाँ, वो rules समझने के लिए तो 2 महीने काफी है.
Yeah, basic foundation is fine.
हाँ, उसके बाद तो it's about iteration, fine tuning and nuances, intricacies, nitty-gritties, all those things.
Yeah. In fact, अगर कोई dedicatedly करेगा तो I think 1 month में भी उसको basics तो समझ में आ जाए. उसके ऊपर में build करना, the transition from theory to practical is the key.
So how long were you not profitable when you started your trading early on?
Because I was trading commodities, I was not profitable for 6 months.
Just 6 months.
Yeah.
Then it's a pretty good, progress, I guess.
It was good progress. I was very hardworking. I still feel so good about myself that I used to work so hard. Now I don't, relative to what I used to work there. Very hardworking.
Like by the number of times you have mentioned how hardworking you are, you take pride in being a hard worker.
Let me give you a background. So in school, I was a no bencher. No bencher means no one will realize that there was a student in the name of Vivek Bajaj in school.
Acha.
Yeah, all my batchmates who meet me now, they say that we can't believe that this is you. Because I was neither as a front bencher, neither I was a back bencher. I was like a non-existence. So when a very below average guy gets a success in whatever form, it could be, I remember class 9 or class 8 and I passed that exam with better marks and everyone started recognizing me that, oh, you are a good student. That's where you uplift yourself psychologically that, oh, I have it, I can do it. And once you uplift yourself, an average student doesn't want to go back. Because a below average student is the worst thing you can do to yourself. A below average performer in life is the worst thing you can do to yourself because you struggle all the time. Your mornings are struggle, your day is struggle, your night is struggle when you are below average. So once you are average or above average, you don't want your average to go down. So that's why constant effort and constantly telling yourself this, that I am hardworking, so that it can re-emphasize you all the time. And as you progress in your age, I mean, I'm 46 now, so there will be a natural tendency to slow, which I will have to refute now. I will have to say this to myself that no, I'm still hardworking, I have to work.
So can I say that being accepted and validated is one of your success metrics?
Yes, it is.
So abhi mera cross question hai. Now you get elated when people validate you and accept you.
Yeah.
At the same time, you are a public figure.
Yeah.
तो अभी आपका ट्विटर पे बहुत सारे ट्रोल्स होंगे, बहुत सारे हेटर्स होंगे.
Yeah.
तो when you get elated with the praise,
Uh,
do you get dejected when somebody trolls you?
Initially, yes. When the social media was new for me, I didn't know how to handle. But then I realized that if I keep on doing good work, the guys who trolled me the most, they'll come back and they'll love me the most. Because they know that this guy, even if I'm trolling, at somewhere in the heart, they realize कि यार ये गलत नहीं कर रहा. मैं बोल दिया इसके बारे में गलत, but eventually they'll come back to me.
Because one thing is you can't please everybody. But let's say if external validation is a part of your motivation, then जब भी कोई आके आपके ऊपर मतलब कुछ ट्रोल करता है या कुछ नेगेटिव चीजें बोलता है, because I know you get a lot of flack for some of the traders that came on your show, in which I totally believe that there is no mistake of yours, because they kind of took some other route, they took shortcuts and whatever it is, and people kind of, you are the low hanging fruit and people obviously आपके ऊपर डाल देते हैं. But at any point did you feel that, oh नहीं, मैं बहुत सारे लोग मेरे को ट्रोल करते हैं, तो like I need to please these guys also? Did you ever feel that?
Yes, initially, yes. Because there is one specific person, I don't want to name that person. He's a very good guy. I always respected that person a lot. But when that person trolls me, I feel slightly dejected. I feel slightly depressed also. Then why is he doing it? He knows what I am. He has seen the whole ecosystem which I have built. But okay. After a point of time, I have become a thick skin. So now it has started bothering me.
Is being thick-skinned a necessary skill to be an entrepreneur?
If I would have been more selfish, I would have progressed much faster. Let me just broaden the thick skin thing, because people who are selfish after the point of time, they do develop this various attributes, and being a thick skin is one of the important.
What is selfish in your definition?
Thinking about yourself first in terms of benefits you will get out of every exercise you do. When you are educating people the way I have educated, and I'm very glad that you did mention that I am probably one of the largest educators, and I truly believe that the work we have done to educate people is absolutely amazing. But the return we got is very low, purely because we never got into the game of monetizing ourselves very early.
But you're talking only about the monetary returns, right?
Yeah.
But the kind of brand value you have built, the kind of brand equity you have built, the kind of reputation you have built, the kind of legacy that you have built, it might not be tangible, but I would say like you have the highest brand equity when it comes to stock market education in the country.
Yeah, but then the brand equity should get converted into numbers, no?
Eventually it will, right?
It will. I have no problem with my business. I'm very proud to do the business the way it is happening. But it could have been much earlier if I was more selfish. That's the point I'm trying to make. कि हम 2020-2021 में बहुत पैसे बना रहे होते हैं,
हाँ,
जो हम बनाएंगे हमको पता है.
काफी लोग बनाए भी.
So all these people who are now getting highlighted, they move out of the business, right? Why we didn't make money so much? Because we were honest. My team always tells me that you don't allow us to do this. How will we make money? How?
So you are your business as compliance officer?
Yeah, so I am. I'm actually in the SEBI book. I'm the chief compliance officer.
Nice.
Yeah. So all these guys who have done unreasonable work around education in financial markets, they will get out of the system thanks to the regulator. And people like us who have always been on the right side of the law.
But there will always be new players emerging, na? No matter how much regulation there is and all that.
With the law, it's absolutely fine. I mean, today, if you take a license and if you are educating people, I'm more than happy to compete or complement you or collaborate with you, right? But someone who is not working in a regulatory framework and making 100 crores, 200 crores, I don't feel that's the right way of doing things. That's why probably we have not made so much money in this business the way we should have done.
So what are your plans for Elon Markets in the future?
The plan is overall for Stockage as a product now. Elon Markets is part of the Stockage ecosystem. And Stockage, I mean, my ideal is Michael Bloomberg. I wanted to create what he has done for institutional investor. I wanted to do for retail investor. It's just that retail still is figuring out whether this platform is right, this platform is wrong.
We might be like jumping between your trading and your business like quite a bit.
Yeah.
So again, I want to jump back to your trading.
Yeah.
So जब आप commodities trade करने शुरू किए, the first 6 months you were not making money, but you were like getting a lot of hands-on experience. Was there a point where there was like eureka moment? Oh, ये fix हो गया ना? This was the final piece of the puzzle.
Yeah.
What was that?
So that one trade, which actually gave me the most confidence, is that trade in natural gas, where I was trading calendar spread. So as I said that I do a lot of homework. So in NYMEX, natural gas contract is there. In MCX also same contract is there. And in India, people always think that the forward curve, which is the price of the next month contract versus the price of the current month contract, will always be contango. That means it will always be up.
Higher.
Because equity is always like that.
Cost of carry.
Cost of carry. Except when there are corporate actions like dividend, etc. When the contango doesn't stay, it becomes
trade at a discount, backwardation or discount.
So this thought process was always there, and gold was the most traded commodity in MCX that time. So it was always contango because of the cost of carry, because gold is essentially cash.
Correct.
But a lot of people didn't realize that it doesn't hold good in all commodities. So in natural gas, in US NYMEX that time, it was a massive backwardation. Maybe because of hurricane. Because their hurricane comes and the current month contract will always follow the spot price and it will go up. And then next month contract doesn't go up so much, so there is a backwardation. So in NYMEX there was a backwardation, in MCX there was a contango. I realized an opportunity there that why someone buying the next month contract? Ideally one should have a backwardation. So I was selling the contango with an assumption that the backwardation will happen in India. And it did happen. Unfortunately, I did not do large quantity. Whatever money I had to bet, I had 7.5 lakh to bet, and there was used to be a calendar margin benefit given by the exchange. So the if I remember correctly, the amount per lot on calendar margin amount was only 600 or 700 rupees. So I was able to deploy entire 7.5 lakh for that. And I made around 25 lakh or so from that trade. That trade gave me confidence. Confidence about my ability to find opportunity which no one is looking at. And that led to, I think, a lot of confidence. And I instantly subscribed to Bloomberg Terminal, which was a 25 lakh rupee product. So I instantly subscribed to that terminal. It's a 2-year commitment. So essentially you pay 25 lakh over a period of 2 years. I instantly subscribed to it because I knew that if I don't do that, I will not be able to grow without that kind of thing.
So, I mean, like that one trade boosted your confidence so much. But I'm talking in terms of like what are the essential building blocks of a trading mindset, that is like cutting your losses, riding your winners. When was that when you found out that, oh, this is what is the building block of trading and I should be able to do that? Here, what यहाँ पे आपने एक bet लिया and that bet worked out. But you cannot replicate it day after day, right? You won't get those asymmetric opportunities every single day. But as a trader, if you want to sustain in the markets, like you need to have some skin in the game and you want to do it. You want to have that repeatable process. when was that point where you found that okay, मेरा SOPs अब establish हो गया है trading के related?
So trading cannot be, Praful, what I understand, it cannot be generalized that trading is this. Because there are various forms of trading.
Absolutely.
When you are doing scalping, your SOP is very different. When you're
Correct.
doing spread trading, your SOP is very different. Because I have lived that journey of starting as a scalper in commodities, then a spread trader, then a swing trader, then a momentum investor. So every time I have moved up my ladder. And why I'm saying move up my ladder, because while my capital base is growing, I can't do scalping with a lot of capital. Scalping is a very small capital
Absolutely.
deployment. Okay? If I start deploying a lot of capital, then I'm essentially betting a lot for a short-term movement.
And sometimes invariably you end up moving the markets.
You end
The
up
sizes.
in the market. Yes, you can have 100 scalpers with you. Build a trading desk where all of them are scalping, then it's fine, because every trader is now handling only X capital, which we did. So from scalping, the SOPs were different, where you're looking at only 2-minute, 3-minute chart. You're looking at the market breadth. You're looking at top 10 buyer, seller, and you're trying to preempt what the buyer would probably do, and you want to be ahead of that buyer.
Basically flow related.
It's a more
trade.
flow related trade. Correct. When you get to spread trading, then you have to analyze the position in the market, the OI, the delivery data in exchange, whether there is a lot of stock of gold or crude or whatever the exchange, and I mean not crude, gold and other deliverable items. But when you get into swing trading, then the SOPs is very different. So my journey has been quite, in that sense, very enriching, that I have moved up the ladder whenever there was any need.
What is your favorite style of trading?
So technically what you will do right now, you'll love more, right? Because the reason why you're doing this is because you don't want to do things which you have done earlier. That's why you're doing this right now.
Probably you might have arrived at a point where it is not suitable for the previous scale. Now you are kind of मजबूरी से आप कर रहे होंगे, but you might reminiscence the old days कि उस टाइम पे मैं ऐसे कर रहा था, ऐसे I used to like that. ऐसे trades कुछ है?
नहीं यार, मतलब when you are doing something right now, that's the most amazing thing which you want to continue to do. Yeah. So I would say momentum investing is something.
So basically you believe in acquired taste.
Yes.
So you talked about that contango trade, that's calendar trade of your crude oil. So there you spotted an opportunity, that's for sure. But still it was a probabilistic bet.
Yeah.
Correct. There was slight probability where the trade could have gone against you.
Yeah.
What was your risk management at that point?
Very bad risk management. I was desperate.
You were desperate that
I was desperate because I've reached the stage where I was almost about to quit, but I was still there.
in 6 months.
Yeah, because see, I come from a very different qualification background, no? So there's so much pressure. And I was, I think, 27, not married. And my family had full intention of getting me married. So there were a lot of social stigma attached to trading as an occupation. It was difficult to get married if you're a trader at that time. So my father was not very favor of me sitting in Calcutta and trading and building a trading desk. He always aspired me to become a fund manager based out of Bombay. But obviously my brother supported me that, no, we believe that this can be done. So you continue doing what you're doing. So yeah, in 6 months, I was like, I should go back and do my job rather than doing what I'm doing. So I was desperate. So that was probably my all-in chip. Like, let's go.
It was an all-in chip.
Yeah, it was an all-in.
So if the trade had backfired, you would have not had this trajectory of life?
No, it's not that I would have lost all the money.
But still.
There was.
But that would have, more than loss of money, the loss of confidence would be so big that you wouldn't be able to have that courage to punch a new trade, right?
Yeah, it's very difficult. Once you are out of confidence, it's very difficult to come back again.
So, ये question को मेरे को yes or no में जवाब चाहिए. So, considering that trade, do you consider yourself an outcome of survivorship bias?
Can you explain that a bit?
I mean, like, you survived that trade out of sheer, call it luck, or probably the probability is working in your favor. And because of that, whatever the chain of events that happened, you got the confidence, you ventured deep into the trading, and then you built a desk, you built different businesses, trading allied businesses and all that. So, do you consider yourself a case of survivorship bias?
See, I traded for 6 months before this trade happened. And in this 6 months, I traded every day from morning, and that time commodity used to be from 10 o'clock to 12:30. That means I would have traded lot of trades, right? Some were profitable, some were in loss.
Hmm.
And I did not go all in all the trades.
Correct.
Why I only selected that trade to go all in? Because of my experience of trading so many trades and because of my confidence in my analysis, I realized that this is that trade where I need to go all in, right? So I will not call it a survival bias. I would say it's more tactical bias, tactical move. That if there is a trade which is high probability trade, you want to go all in that trade.
Yeah.
I would not say it's a survival bias if I answered your question rightly.
To a certain extent, but I want to counter that
Yeah.
because you said that you were good at analysis, you were good at calling the market directions, right? But still you are not making money.
Yeah.
But यहाँ पे आप बोल रहे हैं कि like I got the conviction and I went all in.
Yeah.
Did you have plan B if it failed?
I have always had a plan B in my life. No, my job was always ready. I'm a qualified person.
Correct. So you were kind of, you could afford to put in that all in bet.
Yes. That makes huge difference. Anyone, that's what I tell people, that if you don't have plan B, then trading is not the occupation for you.
How long was the trade? How long did it last?
I think 20 days, because it took time for that calendar spread to become backwardation.
So during those 20 days, what was going through your mind? Because once you put on that trade, there was not much that you could do, right? अभी जैसे तो स्कैल्प हम कर रहे हैं तो कुछ ऊपर आ गया तो कुछ एडजस्ट किए वो सब नहीं रहता वहां पे. तो once you put on that trade, all you have to do is like watch that screen or whatever. So when you were looking at those numbers, what was going in your mind?
I did something stupid. I knew everyone in exchange because there were only handful of qualified people in market that time.
At
So
that
people knew me.
हाँ.
So I called the product manager of natural gas
हाँ.
and I asked him that, who is trading natural gas? Why is he buying? Can't he see NYMEX's backwardation? So I told that guy, please inform that guy. Why is he losing so much money?
Okay.
Right? And the moment I called, I realized that the spread started going down. Right? That's probably my generosity that I called exchange and tell them that ask that guy not to trade because he will eventually lose a lot of money, but that's a stupidity which he's doing. And you won't believe it was actually 1 or 2 people only who were trading that.
Yeah, I've heard that like the volumes of MCX were coming from very select people like who were running huge volumes.
Right, correct.
Few percentage of like whatever the daily turnover of MCX at that point of time.
The moment I called and thereafter the spread started going down, so I realized that it's my trade. So I just
एक बार आपके हाथ में आ गया तो हाँ हो गया.
I would have made a lot of money in that trade. I feel so stupid. I should have borrowed money from here and there and gone all in. But then my risk.
But again, it's hindsight, right?
On the hindsight, yes, absolutely.
Because
Only
it could have gone the other way around also. Because there could have been something where you'd have been that counterparty.
मैं miss कर सकता हूँ ना.
हो सकता
मुझे लग रहा है NYMEX का. In fact, I was always rechecking my Excel sheet all the time. So I was seeing MCX contract again all the time. That am I doing the right calculation? Is it a May contract versus May contract?
Anxiety तो थी.
Huh?
Anxiety
तो थी. Because that was my make or break kind of. Not that I would have left and gone. Frankly speaking, I would not have gone back to job.
But वो ख्याल तो आ रहे थे. मतलब
ख्याल में रहता था.
when like I started out also like हर रोज ख्याल आते थे कि अगर इस महीना नेगेटिव रहा तो क्या करना है.
हाँ.
वो we could kind of play out all the scenarios.
Yeah.
तो Vivek bhai, अभी you mentor a lot of traders.
हाँ.
Right, at iRage and at Credit Desk and all that. What is it that one skill or one attribute that makes a trader a trader? आपने बहुत सारे हजारों लोगों को ट्रेन किए, हजारों लोगों को रिक्रूट किए. More than 200-300 people are full time at your desk and you have seen their progress. तो एक ऐसे चीज क्या है which makes them stand out? Why I'm asking this question is a lot of people who come to trading think that they need to be this to achieve success, but in reality the attributions are completely different. So what is it that you have noticed that oh इस बंदे में ये quality है तो इसको trader करके mold कर सकता हूँ मैं?
A softer skill, I would say. We'll talk about this in 2 ways: softer and the hard skill. Softer skill is the quest to excellence. All the successful traders, they are crazy for excellence. Right? They really cannot accept defeat. They will go back again and figure out kya galat hua. So they know the art of doing postmortem. For them, every wrong trade is a dead body. And they want to do postmortem, that why the trade went wrong. that quest of excellence is very high. This is a soft skill, right? Craziness.
Hmm.
The hard skill, they know when to cut losses. उनको पता है कि गलत हो गया है तो बस काट लो सौदा. They don't want to try to take run in this field.
So when a new trader, comes to learn from you or get
हाँ.
mentored from you for your
हाँ.
trading desk, what is the first thing that you train him on?
The new trader will first obviously learn the foundation of being a trader, the conceptual understanding. Then we just give him or her a trading screen
Hmm.
where there are prices moving. And for weeks, that person will just look at trading screen, nothing else.
अच्छा.
And we want them to comprehend the language of price. वो कहते हैं ना भाव की भाषा.
Hmm.
भाव की भाषा चार्ट से नहीं पता लगता है.
Hmm.
वो भाव को देख के पता लगता
वो टेप रीडिंग स्किल
है.
बोलता है.
Tape reading.
हाँ.
तो वो महीनों तक उस
Hmm.
बंदे को खाली ये बोलते हैं कि तू टेप पढ़ता रहे
Hmm.
और मुझे बताना कि तू क्या उसमें से कॉम्प्रिहेंड किया है. तो वो बताता है कि ट्यूसडे को 2:35 पे इस स्टॉक में कोई बहुत डेस्परेट था बाई करने की. दैट इज द इन्फ्रेंस वी वांट पीपल टू क्रिएट आउट ऑफ द अंडरस्टैंडिंग ऑफ द मार्केट.
Hmm.
एंड देन व्हेन दे स्टार्ट ट्रेडिंग they will be able to judge the action of the big players in the market.
Hmm.
So understanding of tape, understanding of market price is most important. जो chart से नहीं होता है. And unfortunately अभी, and maybe I'm also guilty of that, unfortunately अभी हम लोग सबको बहुत ज़्यादा chart पे focus करने लग गए. Thanks to TradingView,
Hmm.
that the product has democratized the access of chart. पहले मेटा स्टॉक था, पैसे लगते थे.
Hmm.
बट ट्रेडिंग ने इतना इजी कर दिया कि हम सब चार्ट ही देख रहे हैं.
अभी भी आपको लगता है कि a person should first get the feel of the tape? तो उसके बाद क्या?
टेप रीडिंग अगर आप महीनों तक करते हैं, पहली बात वो बहुत बोरिंग एक्सरसाइज है.
Obviously.
इट्स वेरी फ्रस्ट्रेटिंग एक्सरसाइज. तो यू लर्न टू गेट फ्रस्ट्रेटेड इन मार्केट, व्हिच मार्केट विल मेक यू थ्रू आउट. तो इनिशियल स्टेज में यू गेट इनटू दैट लर्निंग ऑफ हैविंग लॉट ऑफ पेशेंस आल्सो.
Hmm.
उसके बाद अल्टीमेटली यू हैव टू पिक वन स्टाइल.
Hmm.
एंड टिपिकली दैट वन स्टाइल इज अराउंड एन एग्जिस्टिंग ट्रेडर. तो या तो कोई एस्टैब्लिश ट्रेडर के बगल में बैठ जाओ, उससे सीखो, उसका स्टाइल को
Copy
अडॉप्ट करो
अडॉप्ट करने को.
एंड देन इसको इवॉल्व करो अपने हिसाब से. फिजिकली हो सकता है तो बहुत अच्छा है, नहीं तो आजकल तो वर्चुअली पॉसिबल है. बुक्स हैं या वीडियोस हैं इस तरह के. लॉट ऑफ जेन्युइन पीपल आर ओके टू कंट्रीब्यूट नॉलेज विद फुल ऑनेस्टी. डोंट गेट ल्यूर्ड बाय people who are giving partial knowledge and then asking you to join their programs to get the full knowledge. So you can clearly make out the difference between genuine knowledge contributor and the not so genuine.
बट आज के जमाने में तो वही मेकआउट करना ही पॉसिबल नहीं है ना. Because people can put on that facade for so long.
हाँ.
When that facade is kind of removed,
हाँ.
people चौंक जाते हैं कि ओ ये बंदा ऐसा था क्या.
हाँ मतलब का एक्सीडेंट्स तो होंगे ना. That's okay यार, ट्रेडिंग में भी तो एक्सीडेंट्स होंगे. But the ability to judge other people is the life skill which everyone should have, no? For everything. In our normal life also, if everyone is there to make money from each other.
तो you've had lot of contributors on your show as well. बहुत सारे लोग आके अपने ओपनली उनका स्ट्रैटेजी शेयर किए, उनका सिस्टम शेयर किए. तो when somebody comes and shares that strategy, तो आपका डेस्क का कोई बंदा आके बोलता है कि हाँ इस स्ट्रैटेजी को हम इम्प्रूव कर सकते हैं, इसको अडेप्ट कर सकते हैं,
Yeah.
आप उसके ऊपर काम करते हैं?
Yeah, we do for not all strategies.
हाँ ऑफ कोर्स.
We do.
जैसे जो चीज आपका रिस्क लिमिट्स को सेट करता है, आपका
Yeah.
प्रोफाइल को सेट करता है, तो यू कैन.
See, ultimately, we are also investing our time, right?
Yeah.
And if you're learning from you,
Hmm.
and if you can improve in some department of ours, we definitely will try to see whether this improves our strategy. But we will not copy you.
Hmm.
Because copy doesn't work anyway.
एब्सोल्युटली. हाँ, कॉपी बोलने से मेरे को याद आया.
Hmm.
मतलब देयर इज दिस क्लेम, ओके, देयर इज दिस स्टेटमेंट,
हाँ.
एक नोशन है मार्केट में कि
हाँ.
जब भी आपका स्ट्रैटेजी को पब्लिकली कहीं बताते हैं तो वो काम करना बंद करता है.
Hmm.
व्हाट इज योर टेक ऑन दिस? बिकॉज आई एम आस्किंग दिस बिकॉज मैंने लास्ट ईयर मैंने लाइव ट्रेडिंग किया. आई थिंक इट वाज द फर्स्ट टाइम समबडी लाइव ट्रेडेड ऑन योर FPF शो. एंड
हाँ.
उसके वो पब्लिश हुआ सैटरडे को,
हाँ.
एंड मैंने मिड कैप निफ्टी ट्रेड किया था.
हाँ.
अगले मिड कैप निफ्टी में बड़ा स्पाइक आया.
हाँ.
And you also sent a comment from a very good trader, an established trader, saying that he commented on my post saying that this is the price you pay for revealing your strategy on the public forum. आपने मुझे वो स्क्रीनशॉट भेज के मुझे पूछे, प्रफुल, do you believe so?
हाँ.
मैंने कहा I'm not able to say anything at this point of time. आपको क्या लगता है?
So there are algorithms which tries to find pattern, right? And if you are very openly sharing your core strategy in, especially when you are doing trading, intraday trading, where the most algorithms are active, then they obviously try to do back testing and see whether it is working or not. Now, those algorithms may copy you or may create a strategy which is against your strategy. But your strategy should have a large enough capital for them to make a lot of money from you.
Correct. हाँ, you should be trading at a considerable size for them to even that counter move थोड़ा profitable बनने के लिए उनको incentive मिल जाए.
Absolutely. Now here we are presuming that if you have shared the strategy, there are 1,000 people who have started copying your strategy.
Right from day one.
Day one. Which is I think a very
far-fetched. Far-fetched.
क्योंकि लोगों को समझ में भी नहीं आएगा. आप बोलोगे बिना तो भी लोगों को समझ में नहीं आएगा कि आप बोले क्या. So not that 1,000 people are there, but maybe 100 sensible people have started trading your strategy. That is not very large enough for someone to refute your strategy, put an effort to refute your strategy.
But over the period of time, वो जो risk adjusted returns जो बनता है on some strategy which is kind of mainstreamed. For example, the infamous 920 straddle. जैसे उसमें बहुत पहले जा रहा है 920 straddle. Because it kind of became a mainstream kind of a strategy. Everybody started developing their own versions of it and suddenly market में एक structure build हो गया कि flows ऐसे आएंगे और flows ऐसे जाएंगे. अगर market को थोड़ा nudge करेंगे तो इनका पूरा cascading effect आएगा, उससे वापस फिर से market को whatever we calling manipulation. तो हम लोग shoot start होने से पहले हम बात कर रहे थे कि market manipulate हो रहा है.
Right.
तो is it the manipulation has become easier because the flows are so predictable?
For intraday, yes. Because intraday mein algo is far bigger now. And basically, who is refuting your strategy? They are not people who are refuting your strategy. It's a machine which is finding your strategy conducive enough to refute and go the other side of the trade, which you are doing. That's why you are losing money, right? If at all you are losing money. So, जहाँ पर algo का dominance होगा, वहाँ पे ये होंगे. We have to live with it. So, but you see the strategies which are beyond algo, like swing strategy or momentum strategy, Mark Manevrini has shared everything. And he talks the same thing again and again.
But because when the universe is so large and when the time frame is so large, it becomes almost impossible to pinpoint somebody's strategy and act on it. But यहाँ पे क्या हो जाता है? We are trading in the same index of that particular expiry. And जब expiry में क्या हो जाता है कि like everybody's positions are kind of clustered around 2 or 3 strikes. चौथा स्ट्राइक पे लिक्विडिटी प्रीमियम है ही नहीं, तो जो भी बैठा रहता है कि लाइक वो दो तीन स्ट्राइक्स पे बैठा रहता है, तो द क्राउडिंग इज मोर prominent, more apparent and more actionable on index derivatives on intraday, particularly on expiries. Correct. So now you're saying that the machines are kind of dominating the market, but you have a whole desk of prop traders. How has their performance, whether it has increased or whether it has reduced over the last 1 year?
So machine has obviously dominated, but then number of people who are coming to the market has also gone up, no? So the market has grown for everyone.
Basically, the pot has become bigger.
The pot has become bigger, so that's why manual traders have also made money vis-a-vis machines. But if you visualize for coming 5 years, what will happen? So I feel that machine will have an edge over manual traders. All the manual traders have to trade with machine as well. They cannot be only manual traders. They have to attach themselves with some machine where, imagine a system where I'm doing manual trading and there's also a machine which is doing a specific strategy for me. That would be like an ideal
kind of assist.
You need a machine assist system. At least your decision support system.
I mean, I am a discretionary trader and I know like I trade like a decent size. So even I have like assists and I was kind of very reluctant on using this. I'm like, मैं हर order में हाथ से punch करूँगा. But then once I transitioned to, taking out assists, life has become a little easier. And this is the case with every retail trader. I mean, the kind of demand that we are seeing for algorithmic trading has surged quite a bit. And SEBI has come out with a lot of regulations on that. तो अभी परसों ही मतलब एक रेगुलेशन आया which is good in a way because the main reason that SEBI wanted to regulate is to manage and mitigate the risks. But आपको लगता है with so much of margins that we are charging, the margins that Indian markets are charging probably are the highest in the world, and especially on expiry day 2% का ELM लगा के, I don't think there is any systemic risk that is involved which puts a stress on the financial health of a broker or a prop firm or any intermediaries or any MIIs for that matter.
Correct.
So do you think this much regulation is required for the algo trading space? जो भी उन्होंने सारे pointers जो बताया है.
See, the regulation is there for many years. This regulation, where you have to approve your strategy, you have to have a separate ID for each algo strategy, all these have been there since we started algo trading in 2010. Just that institutional framework of algo trading has now been kind of applied at a retail level, and someone has to take the responsibility if things go wrong.
The principle.
So what SEBI is saying that for me, broker is the one who is offering the platform. Even if you have any third-party algo platform, I don't know them. I don't know how to regulate them because they're not under me. And I don't want to have a separate category of license for them because already SEBI has so many regulation categories. Why will I have algo provider as a category and manage them? So regulator said that let broker do it and I will make broker responsible for anything which is going to be wrong. I think it's perfectly fine.
Okay. On a parallel, do you think the markets are being manipulated on an intraday basis?
Yeah, intraday manipulation will always be there.
And do
It
you
was always there, pehle bhi. The form were different.
now do you think it's more pronounced?
Because of Twitter, because of a lot of people talking about it, we have seen the manipulation happening on us. The bigger player will always manipulate the smaller players.
So it's the name of the game.
It's a game, yeah. It's all about money, honey.
So do you think there is any way, because regulator is all about protecting investor interests and protecting the manipulation, markets from the manipulation. So do you think by establishing certain SOPs or bringing certain regulations, can they completely eliminate manipulation out of the markets? Because this is from a beginner's point of view, because हमें आंसर पता है, आपको भी पता है, हमें भी बाकी सब लोगों को पता है, बट जब बंदा आता है नया वाला मार्केट में, कोई कॉल ऑप्शन खरीदता है 2 लॉट 3 लॉट, उसको लगता है कि मार्केट ऐसे ऊपर चला के वापस नीचे आ गया, उसको लगता है मार्केट पूरा मैनिपुलेटेड है, तो उसको एक सच्चाई जानना होगा कि भाई देखो ये रहने वाला है.
हमारे नॉर्मल लाइफ के अंदर में there is police, there is law, they have defined some regulations, right? But still we have criminals, right? We do face problems in our normal life. If we just go to, after we face problems, if we go to a regulator and say that, hey, listen, I'm facing this problem, and the regulator says, oh, you're facing this problem? Let's come out with a regulation and stop everyone to do this.
Blanket bans. Blanket bans.
Blanket bans on everything is counterproductive for the market growth.
True.
Right? So all the individual retail trader, investor, etc., they have to understand this, that ultimately it's a caveat emptor, right? You have to be aware about your situation, right? I will not give money to anyone because that person is giving me stock tip. If suppose the person is giving, I will ask for the license. You tell me what SEBI registration number you have, and I'll go and check in SEBI website whether that person actually has a license or not. Problem is we don't want to put an effort, and then we go to a regulator and say that, my baap, there is some problem, please help me.
Self-victimization.
Yeah, and the regulator will then come and say, oh, is it a problem? Okay, let's do something. Let's create a white paper. Let's give a regulation. Right? And the kind of regulation which can come, because regulator will not understand the business side. We have to appreciate them. Because day in and day out, they are thinking about regulation. Think about the mind of a regulator. Every morning the person is getting up, how do I protect people? Afternoon, how do I protect people? Evening, how do I protect people? Like a trader, how do I make money? How do I make money, right? That person will not think from a businessman perspective, right? So they will come out with regulations which will be counterproductive for the market growth.
So don't you think it is against the spirit of free markets? Because most of whatever the victimizations that happen, so it is not just the mistake of the perpetrator, that is the guy who's doing the fraud, but that is being done on the gullibleness of the people owing to certain emotions that are being displayed by those people. For example, greed. For example, taking shortcuts and all that. and these are human emotions which can't be completely eliminated. तो हमेशा कोई ना कोई रहेगा कि अगर कोई टेलीग्राम टिप आके देगा कि मैं 100% शॉर्ट स्ट्रैटेजी दूंगा, तो there will be always people who will be willing to go towards that. But do you think the regulations from SEBI, especially on influencers, especially on all these things, is slightly leaning towards, I mean, against the spirit of free markets?
See, you need to understand a law a bit, and you need to read SEBI Act, you need to read RBI Act, and you need to understand the reason why these regulators were installed in our country, right? The core principle, if you read the preamble of SEBI, the core principle is to protect the interest of investors. That is their core. Right. Now, you can always question that around that core, you can have restrictions which you and me can define as कि ये free economy का part नहीं है. ठीक है? India as a constitution, it promotes free speech, free economy, but then there is a regulatory layer on top of that free economy.
Certain regulations that SEBI came up with against influencers and all, I'm totally, on board with it, because this it has kind of grown overboard. All these guys like giving out stock tips and live trading के नाम पे streaming कर रहे हैं, लोगों को induce कर रहे हैं and all that. But are you happy with all the regulations that have come in the recent past?
Not at all. We cannot be happy with all the regulations. Regulations are not meant to make other people happy. Regulations are meant to restrict a lot of things which will make people unhappy. So we are definitely not happy. Only one thing which I will probably discontent inside me as an entrepreneur, as a taxpayer of the country, as someone who is adding value for so many years, is regulators intend to regulate revenue. That I think is beyond the basics of free economy. It's the right to do business the way I want to do business.
So you were saying that the certain regulations of SEBI which kind of directly target the revenues of the company, it's against the rules of free economy.
Yeah.
So can you elaborate on that?
I mean, an entrepreneur does a business because the entrepreneur wants to grow, right? And every of us have a price of our time. Like if I'm spending 1 hour in something, I should realize the value out of that. Now, how can a regulator, I mean, not that I'm going against the regulator, but I'm requesting, it's a request, please. How can you ask us, you cannot charge more than this for your service? No service in India has that restriction. Like in RA, recently there is a restriction. In IA also there is a restriction that you cannot charge more than 1.5 lakh rupee a year. Now, Praful, I am graduate, I am a 20-year of experience person. I want to charge 1 crore a year to you for my service. Any doctor, can you ask the doctor not to do that? Can you ask a lawyer not to charge that? There are billionaire lawyers in our country who charge loads of money for an hourly consultancy. Can you stop them? That's where I think there is some disconnect at times happens, where regulator goes slightly overboard in the name of protecting the interest of investors. This is not investor protection happening. This is something else happening. It's not investor protection.
What do you think would be the motive behind this regulation?
Again, some investors would have gone and complained that, sir, he's charging so much, they are charging so much, we can't afford. The point is, we have to...
So how can they regulate affordability of certain things?
They can. I mean, see, the moment your genesis of regulation is to protect the interest of investors, you are empowering investors to complain for anything and everything.
Now, again, the capitalistic nature of the free markets will ensure that the competitive pricing stays in place.
Absolutely.
In spite of competitive pricing, if you are charging a premium, it says that you command that premium, correct? Yeah. If somebody is willing to pay that price to you or me, if I go and tell that, bro, like for a 1 hour consultation call, I'm charging you 1.5 lakh rupees. And if a customer is paying that to me, in spite of us living in a capitalistic society where there is fierce competition and where there is fair price discovery.
Yeah.
So how can we regulate fair price discovery?
That's where the slight disconnect is there. Otherwise, I think we are...
I mean, have you taken up this with the regulator? I mean, not you in the sense, not you as personal thing, but at least as the RA's association or something.
As an association, we are obviously talking to regulators that please consider this point because it's a very basic thing which should be revisited. But let's see.
And just like how we have regulations for everyone, we have brokers. I mean, how we have associations for everyone. We have brokers association, we have RA's association, we have IA's association, and all that. Do you think it's high time that we have an association for retail traders as well, where we can voice our concerns in a streamlined, in a organized fashion? Does it make sense to have it?
I mean, there is no technical definition of the term retail trader. There is no law which defines the term retail trader. Okay. So unless you have a clear community, identifiable community, you cannot create an association.
Let's say we come and define who a retail trader is, what are his roles, responsibilities, what are his limitations, what is his jurisdiction. And then after that, does it make sense to have a retail traders association where whenever a certain regulation comes, at least our voices are heard? For example, when the margins were reduced, the retail traders' only concern was why in India we are charging so much higher margin when the matured markets, where like most of the markets का जो innovations है, we kind of emulate from the US. वहाँ पे उतना max loss ही margins है. Like why are we paying like 10 times, 15 times the max loss margin? So we are not, at least let us have a say. Let our voices be heard. For that reason, does it make sense to have a retailers association?
We can start. You can take the initiative. I can't become part of that because I'm already part of a couple of associations, which is as an intermediary. We are part of associations.
Absolutely.
But this is a non-intermediary association. If someone can do this, I think that would be great value addition. Are you planning?
I mean, being a full-time trader, like I don't think I'd be able to dedicate so much of time.
Everyone needs. This is a very effort-oriented activity and thankless job.
Kind of thankless job, and a bit controversial too. At times,
it is controversial. How many people will come on camera and say that we cannot regulate revenue? I went on TV also and I requested the regulator. I'm always requesting the regulator because we know that that's the only thing which will touch their heart.
Absolutely.
I cannot force myself on them because they have their own job. They are also busy.
So their intent is investor protection.
Yes.
So we need to, though their actions might be little anti-business, but if we need to appreciate that, okay, they come as pure as they can.
Yeah.
So maybe their actions might have certain consequences on the business, whereby making them hear our voices, they might consider.
Absolutely. We can just try.
So Vivek bhai, like we talked about regulations and all that. Now, what is the way forward for you? Like you have reinvented yourself at every juncture of your life. So you were the first adopter of algo trading, you were the first adopter of MCX, you were the first adopter of even digital education and all that. With the advent of AI and with whatever the regulations that were put in place over the last few months, what does this business landscape look from your perspective?
Two things which I'm focusing right now. I probably am delayed in that. For the first time, I feel I have not been the first one to do that. Number one is incorporating AI in everything what we do, in every product, in every service, in every vertical of the business. Because those who will not adopt AI will definitely not survive. Not about success, now it's about survival. So that we are working very hard to do. And second is, I think the next 5 years in India belongs to smaller enterprises who will come mainstream, who will become very big, who will get listed eventually. So I want to focus on small entrepreneurs, not the traditional VC funded startup entrepreneurs, not necessarily them, but more people who are doing real business with a clear objective of making profit and they want to scale up. So there's a beautiful platform, SME platform, which is facilitating. I'm the late one to join the party, but I think I would definitely want to go deeper inside that. I'm learning the skill of SME investing from some amazing investors. So maybe for the coming 5 years, plan for myself. You can see me or my company's name in couple of companies with more than 1% stake. That's the final leg of my probably wealth creating journey.
So, at this point, what is the number one motivating factor? Is it money, or is it leaving behind a legacy, or is it fame, or is it validation at this point? Because I know from the place where you came from, as you narrated your story, the first point was like getting that recognition, getting that validation, and all that. At this point, you've got all of that in a good mixture, in a
Yeah.
good proportion.
Yeah.
Now, what is that? What motivates you? Because like I know that you're equally as hardworking as you were 15 years ago, 20 years ago. आप उसी हिसाब से मेहनत कर रहे हैं. What is it that drives you?
Whatever has been done is an asset which has been created, be it money, be it reputation, be it organization. Continuity of that and beyond normal growth of that is the top priority.
No.
So trading desk should grow, IRS should grow, algo desk should grow, stock exchange should, everything should grow, right? So we should not do anything wrong which should disturb the existence of the work which we have already done. Very strong focus on risk management, that the money earned has to be there. I cannot become casual with the money which has been earned. Even if I'm okay to generate lesser return with that capital, it's fine. The protection of the capital is also one of the priorities apart from making more money. That is the goal right now for business as well as for individual. Plus, obviously, 46 is a age, right, where you start thinking about the second phase of your life.
What are you looking forward to?
So the second phase of the life, where I know that my fluid intelligence, which is the first phase of the life phenomenon, is getting converted into crystallized intelligence, which is like the intelligence is kind of freeze, but it is spreading light as a crystal to everyone. So the idea is to protect my degradation of intelligence and make sure that I am there on that curve by adding new skill set. So learning new things like maybe learning singing, musical instruments, or
You took up any of that?
staying relevant.
Have you taken up any of that?
Huh?
An instrument or something? Have you taken up that?
I have taken up singing. I'm learning singing from a teacher. Instrument my kids are playing, so we've decided we'll create a small band at home where they will play instruments and I'll sing, and they will also sing. But the point is, every age will need a different level of focus point.
True.
I don't want to do the same thing which I was doing 10 years
ago. Of course, money has been a great motivating factor, right? And from the point where you started trading with 7.5 lakhs capital, you doubled it, you converted into that, and then you built all those things. Over this over this period of 20 years, how has the relationship with money has changed? What does money mean to you at this point of time versus what was money meaning to you at that point of time?
Money at that point of time was to build myself, to build my family, to build my lifestyle. I mean, from I will not say lower middle class or middle class, but a reasonable middle class to a rich category. That was the objective, that I want to go to that category of 1% population in our country. That was the drive. But now money is how much I can add value in society overall, be it by empowering more employees, by seeing them growing in the business along with me, by empowering more people around. There is a circle of influence, no? That your immediate family, then your extended family, then your friends, then your office colleagues and other people, then you reach a wider community, and finally you want to add value to the society in best possible manner. So money, the color of the money remains the same, is that the utilization of money somehow has changed.
Have you ever used money to splurge on lavish lifestyle?
I believe that if you have made money, you should enjoy that money. There is no harm in buying expensive clothes.
So, Ravi, what was your most expensive purchase?
I like cars, so I purchased expensive car. I don't like to talk about. So, enjoy money, enjoy whatever you buy. Yes, you should buy expensive brand. There's no harm in doing that. But don't show off to people that I bought this.
That becomes a slippery slope.
That is not a very right thing, because you never know what the other person will have the feeling. when you are showcasing your expensive cars.
I mean, everything in life is kind of that only, right? Because, for example, like you have reached a considerable amount of some success, right? So, for someone, that success might be aspirational, it might be inspiring. For someone, it might be a point of envy.
Absolutely.
Similarly, your material possessions,
Some people it could be depressing also.
it'll be depressing also.
Exactly, you are saying this to other people that hey, listen, what I've done is amazing. तुम तो कहाँ ही रह गए.
So, for someone, which might appear like a show off, for someone, it might be a point of like aspiration, right? तो अगर मैं बोलूंगा कि मैं अगर बड़ा गाड़ी लेके मतलब मैं रोड पे घूमूंगा तो लोग जेलस होंगे, तो आई कैन ऑल्सो काइंडली completely like change the narrative saying that अगर मैं इस बड़ा गाड़ी लेके घूमूंगा तो लोगों को लगता है कि भाई मेरा गली का बंदा अगर ये परचेस कर सकता है तो मैं भी कर सकता हूँ.
I mean, there is no right and wrong point in this. There is
I want to know like
there
what
a
is your
bound- there
perspective?
is a boundary.
Hmm.
अब गाड़ी लेके घूमिए,
Hmm.
बट अब गाड़ी में लाउड एकदम स्पीकर बहुत तेज करके आप धूम धूम करके घूम रहे हैं और मे भी आप आपका ड्राइवर चला रहा है और आप सनस्क्रीन के ऊपर
That is the question of
बैठ के वो तो आई मीन एंजॉय और as I said, you should buy expensive things, no problem.
Hmm.
But flauntering को control.
Hmm.
That's my value system. I may be
Absolutely.
wrong. I mean, everyone has their
Absolutely,
own
everyone has their own value system. So, Vivek bhai, with ongoing regulations, again, I'm coming back to the regulations because this regulation affects the overall ecosystem because influencers have been, right? Yes, the contribution has been from the bull market as well, but there is a significant contributors from all of these YouTubers, influencers, Twitter traders, and all those things uh, who have been instrumental in bringing the volumes and bringing the participation into the markets. But with the current regulations, which kind of makes all these influencers walk on eggshells, how do you think this entire influencing would pan out?
on anything. So there is one spirit of regulation and then the co-regulation. Some people like to work around the spirit of regulation. That I feel this is wrong, I will not do it. Most of the people doesn't follow spirit of regulation. कि regulation आएगा तो देख ले, अभी तो करो, बरोबर. Now the regulation is black and white. कि ये कर सकते हो, ये नहीं कर सकते. So the growth will obviously slow down. Only those people who are okay to be part of the regulation, they will take the regulation and they will continue working the way they should do. So the supernormal growth in that industry of influencer will slow down. It will become a normal growth industry.
One unexpected outcome from these regulations is that a lot of these influencers who have already established, who are established names, they have suddenly started promoting these crypto trading and crypto exchanges and stuff like that. When we all know like how risky and how unregulated crypto markets are. What would the regulator do, or what should a regulator do in order to again enforce investor protection in that area?
See, who is the regulator of crypto? There is no regulator of crypto, right?
The whole point is decentralization.
Yeah, the whole point is decentralization. So, who will stop people to talk about crypto? The law of the land. Law of the land is not saying that crypto is wrong, ban it. Law of the land does say that you need to pay tax. Then you want to do crypto, you do crypto. There are a lot of things where influencers are active, which is against the integrity
Spirit
or
of.
spirit, right, or ethics. I mean, we all know how social media works. So that we can't think about everything. हम सारे problems को तो नहीं solve कर सकते ना, because ये तो society है. Internet is also society. So there'll be good people, there'll be bad people. What do you do about it? So let's not overthink. ये crypto जो कर रहा है, now that you know that some people who were doing equity market, now they moved to crypto. So essentially all the sensible people will realize that ये क्या है? What is it?
Suddenly कैसे change हो गया?
So people will start unfollowing those people. But those are the only sensible people. The not so sensible population, which is the larger population, they are here for loss.
They'll remain gullible forever.
They'll remain gullible because someone has to lose money for other people like all of us to make money. So let's not try to protect people that you should not lose money. अरे वो नहीं खोएगा तो बाकी जो कमा रहे हो कैसे कमाएं? So let's park the crypto argument. If you believe in that, we sure talk about it. If you don't want to believe in that, don't talk about it.
तो Vivek bhai, we have had a wonderful conversation. मुझे तो बहुत मजा आया because very few traders we get like who can speak about so vast area of things in life. So what is one final advice you want to give to a 23, 24-year-old guy who wants to make it big in trading or general in his life?
So I would only say that looking at my journey, I've evolved as a trader because I've been very proactive in finding new opportunities, right? Never get disappointed with anything which is happening in our country. Never get. Some regulation came, some circular came, and you start feeling, oh, my business, whether my trading career will remain or not, my business is staying. It doesn't work. Market always evolve with new regulations. So stay positive always. This is a brilliant occupation. If you are able to become a trader, nothing like it, right? But a holistic improvement would be required. Probably after a certain age, you will start realizing the need of holistic improvement. You don't want a situation where you are probably unsuccessful by the age of 50 or 55-ish, and you don't have friends, you have not acquired other skills, you look very unhealthy, you look very sad, and you typically become a suicidal character. Because ultimately, any negativity inside you will transfer the negativity to your near and dear ones. And finally, we all are trying to remain happy and make the near and dear ones happy, right? So don't just be so finicky about trading all the time. You should have your mental space की. जैसे I love your system that you know इतना तक मुझे trading के बारे में सोचता हूँ, उसके बाद मुझे health पे focus करना, I need to work out and all those things. A holistic development is also required, not just all the time thinking about it.
So this is something what I've noticed in my trading community as well. Like I have a lot of friends. A lot of them have a very one-dimensional approach to life.
Yeah.
तो पैसे के आगे वो लोग सोच नहीं सकते. And their view towards the world is also like super utilitarian. बहुत मतलबी बन जाता है and all that. And very few people who have developed that एक overall well-rounded personality. तो आपको लगता है कि मतलब ट्रेडिंग के अलावा भी like people should pursue some, at least should have like one serious hobby in their life?
Of course. Without hobby or any other occupation, anyone is doing any other occupation, one hobby is definitely required, because hobby is the one which will save you from that tremendous negativity you will get at some point of time from your occupation.
I'm asking this because अभी जो हसल कल्चर जो है ना उसको बहुत ग्लोरीफाई किया जा रहा है, स्पेशली इन ट्रेडिंग. मतलब वो जो इंस्टाग्राम पे रील्स आता है ना, ग्राइंड फॉर 3 years एंड 4th year से तुम इंडिपेंडेंट बन जाओगे वगैरह वगैरह. तो उसके चक्कर में लोग इतने मतलब घुसे पड़े हैं. They don't understand that trading is a profession which is one from how you lead your life outside the market hours.
So let me just give you a perspective here that when you are starting anything, be it trading or any occupation, your number of hours to be given to that occupation should be very high.
True.
70, 75, 80, 90 hours. जितना देना है. Don't allow other people to tell you इतना ही hours तुमको देना है. जितना दे सकते हो उतना देना चाहिए. फिर then you start reducing your number of hours in that occupation. Why? Because your wealth should start going up. The more you make money, your number of hours for that occupation will get normalized.
Trade-off.
But आप शुरू से ही अगर नहीं उतना मेहनत करें, आप नीचे ही हैं, तो आपका wealth growth ही नहीं होगा वैसा, तो obviously you will not grow. तो hustle तो होना चाहिए. Hustle तो बहुत जरूरी है, but not all the time. After a point of time, you should have reached a stage where you have made money that you can moderate your hustle. And at times, circumstances also push you to reduce. Like I'll tell you, 2013, I decided to move away from active trading to passive trading because God gave me twin boys. And my wife told me that, hey buddy, you can't do this. Morning 9 to midnight 12, you can't trade. Someone has to be there with the kids as well. So that was more of a biological push from nature, which asked me, ki, nahi bhaiya, change karo. Now, I would have got depressed. I would have got dejected. I would have said, I would have fought. Nahi, main to karunga. Accept the change and change your the way you participate in the market. The market is amazing.
Absolutely. We fall in love with the markets every single day.
Yeah.
Vivek bhai, it was a pleasure having you here. Wonderful conversation. Like, I don't know like how long it has been, but I'm sure like we have had 2 hours of solid conversation. मैं तो करना चाहता हूँ और 1 घंटा, but because of time restrictions, we have to end it here. But I'd love to host you on another episode because a lot of things to learn from you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Really pleasure talking to you.
And I'll see you in Goa.
Investment in securities market are subject to market risks. Read all the related documents carefully before investing. Please read the risk disclosure documents carefully before investing in equity shares, derivatives, mutual fund, and or other instruments traded on the stock exchange.